Hello. We are back at Space Engineers. I know it took me a while, I hadn't had time to edit it. I'm currently building the final stage of my StarCraft base in Kerbal Space Program, and it's taken up quite a bit of time to continue with this, but I didn't want to abandon this game as I like it too much and really want to continue it. We will pick up the game right where the first chapter ended. Well, not exactly in the same place, but rather a little later. As you can see, I was moving forward a little off camera, so I decided to skip at least one part, since they have been very repetitive tasks. At least we are closer to finishing it, and I feel very proud of the look the ship is taking. In this video I have proposed to complete the construction of the ship, although it took more than 6 hours, so I will have to compact it a little. At the moment our mining ship does not have batteries, so we will take some trips by hand to save time. It was about 10 trips or so far. It's crazy how much it takes to equal a single mining trip, but at least we gained some time while the mining ship's batteries recharged. Now I will advance the construction of the engines a little. Currently I am wondering if it would have been better to use the large ones instead of these. But anyway, I thought that if I went into combat it would be more difficult to destroy many engines than a few. In addition, they allow me to better organize the structure of the wing, leaving more space for other things that I will put later. In the meantime, it seems that our mining has already loaded up a little. That's a good thing. Now we can take a trip for more resources. Carefully. Carefully. Okay, we're docked. Very well. I think that now, after completing some engines, I should get busy starting to create the industrial production machinery. Something I wanted to do was put all the equipment at the highest level, but after looking for many alternatives, I saw that at least in regards to the refinery, I would have to settle for the basic one. This thing just doesn't fit here. In this place it will block my windows, and will also be exposed to any type of attack it may receive. In short, let's go inside. I need to organize a few things first. So, where could we start? It would have been nice if it fit here, yes. But the reality is that not even opening a hole in the roof of the ship would this thing fit here. So no way, we'll go with the basic refinery and then we'll worry about the more advanced minerals. Think it could be a good place, we'll see. Now, let's worry about putting in some extra batteries. We are going to need energy to move long distances. Maybe it could fit here. If I just remove that door frame. Well, that space will help me place something later, maybe the gyroscope. For now we go with what concerns us, the battery. It will be fine there.
Energy low.
Damn, it's really a pain having to go to the medical room every time to recharge. I need to put one on this ship at once. Okay, what were we on? I think I'll put a medical room around here soon. Maybe a survival kit would be the smartest thing, but I don't trust that much. It will be somewhat difficult to find a place for it. Better let's continue with the industrial components. I think there is a better place for the assembler around here. I'll just need to remove this light. Once done, I think I'll be able to use both corners for the basic refinery and assembler. Then I will have one side left for the medical room. I think it could fit well there. Yes, it will definitely stay there. Now we move on to removing the components on this side, and free up some space for the medical room. First we see where to place the refinery, which will be here. And now the medical room. Yes, I definitely like this configuration better than the previous one. Time to get to work. This will be quite a while, so see you in a bit. Okay, finally we finished this part. And yes, I also added a cryo tube in case it is necessary to preserve my vital resources at a certain time. While looking at this section, it occurred to me that it would be the ideal place to connect the refinery to the assembler, although I will do this later since I still have a lot to do on this ship. Time to go back outside and place the charging components. My initial intention was to place some large container, but there definitely won't be enough space for this. So I made the decision to remove some structural blocks and fill this section with small containers. At least we will achieve some balance. After that, the next thing was to create the connections of the ship. This was the most complex part, since it was not only about connecting the containers, but also the fuel lines, and I couldn't decide what could be the most suitable way to achieve this. I looked at the ship carefully for a while, and finally determined that the best idea would be to put the pipes on the outside, so I could leave room in the rear area for a docking port, a hangar, or a trailer. I wasn't sure what I would use it for then, but I knew that space would be needed sooner or later. So, this is how it should look, even though it cost us to remove one of the engines. It is more reasonable to extend the wings later than to waste the interior space of our ship just for this. The rear pipes will be removed, since the internal hydrogen tanks have connections with the wings, which in turn have a connection with the rear compartment. We will no longer need the internal connections of the ship. I had to make several adjustments to the connections with the wings since they were not yet well made. I'm not even going to say how long it took me to make these arrangements, because more than a merit it is a shame. I even had to open the section of the ship to see why the systems were not communicating. But hey, at least I made it in the end. The feeling of closing this lid and knowing that everything was finally working correctly was simply indescribable. The medical room does not yet have hydrogen and oxygen tanks connected, so it can only charge my suit. I will still have to go to the base to recharge these resources. Now you can see something of the shape it's taking. I like it more and more, and it's starting to look less like a Lego block. In addition to the fact that its interior is beginning to feel more welcoming, it is not yet habitable, but it is getting closer to being so. For a moment I would like to see what it looks like from the outside. I wouldn't want to start the engines as I don't want to risk ruining any of the legs, plus I don't think it has hydrogen in the tanks yet, and it's not connected to the base. I just want to take a look at it for a second. Damn, just from this I can feel that it looks very pretty. I really love how it is turning out. Very satisfying. Now let's get back to work. Next, and after a brief inspection, you already know, or if you don't know I'll tell you, that Kerbal Space Program players are very picky. Obsessive-compulsive disorder seems like a mere nervous tic compared to what we have, so every detail is important. The next thing was to place the O2, H2 generators. I placed 2 connected to the ship's tanks. At this point I already imagined that 2 tanks would be very little fuel, but I was really curious about how long they would last for this ship. It was more a matter of figuring out how physics works in space engineers than hoping to get anywhere. So let's go there. Done. I know, I'm skipping a lot of bits, but it really was more than 6 hours of gameplay. I could break them into many fragments, but I really want to complete this part to start with the real series, which will possibly be in 1 or 2 more chapters. So after putting some ice on the generators to see if they worked, which they did, but they kept giving problems with the rear motors, which I also had to reconnect. Well, I started with the gyroscopes. Or rather, the gyroscope. That's right, I only placed 1. The ship is quite balanced, so this should be more than enough even if some engines failed. Very nice, although looking at it closely I think a nuclear reactor would have looked a little better, but meh. Screw it, it goes like this. Now a button panel. This will help me configure some shortcuts later. Cool. It'll be fine there. The other thing that I thought could be useful to me was an O2H2 generator separate from the ship's systems, only for my oxygen and hydrogen tanks. This way I will avoid that when I have little ice, I end up spending everything on refilling the systems, and I was left without life support. I decided to place it here, right next to the door. I wasn't sure if it would be airtight at first, but I thought it would be the best place for it, plus I was running out of room inside. Done. Now we are going to relocate the lights. The darkness here is not very comfortable to work in since I removed them to put the refinery and the assembler. I certainly would have liked to place them symmetrically, but given the limited space that will not be possible. So good, now we increase its power a little and that's it, we can continue working. Done, it looks perfect now. It is time to place the ventilation to pressurize the interior of the ship. Without a doubt this will be the place, using a half block to be able to see the status of the battery directly if necessary. Well, that's it. We can pressurize the interior now, we just need an oxygen tank. About that. I'm not even going to mention the time it took me to find a good place. It was frustrating. I even drilled some blocks thinking about embedding it in the walls, but this didn't seem optimal to me, since then I wouldn't have an effective way to connect it. So, the final decision was this: with the tank here, we would only need AT to connect the medical room, and the rest of the ship to the tank, so it would be supplied with oxygen just by placing a little ice in the containers. Ready, that already works, now all that remains is to connect it. We will use AT here to supply the medical room as planned, and at the same time connect it to the rest of the ship, which will allow the interior to be pressurized through the ventilation grill. Let's not waste too much time here, let's move on to the next thing. And before you ask me, I've already connected the stasis pod to the ship's plumbing system. Now, what doesn't convince me here yet? It is the internal lighting of the ship. I mean, white doesn't look bad, but it feels like an old hut with improvised light bulbs. I think there is a more suitable color for the interior of a ship, a more discreet and subdued color, friendly to the eyes. Yes, indeed, it definitely has to be red. It feels great and is reminiscent of the lights on military ships and submarines when using this night light. I don't know about you, but it's very relaxing for me. Perfect, and I love how the green lights stand out in contrast to the red. It feels somewhat futuristic, but at the same time current, without so much extravagance. I mean, it doesn't give the impression that it only has little lights to decorate. I don't know if I understand myself. Just correct one more small detail. The light feels a bit intense, so let's dim it a little. Especially the one at the front, since we do not want it to illuminate the cabin. It should only have the necessary lighting, and a clear and sharp view of the outside. Perfect. If I look ahead, it's practically all natural light, in addition to the digital screens of the ship, which I love. Now, one more thing. I'm going to need a place to sleep comfortably. Knowing me, I wouldn't mind lying on the floor next to the seat at all, but let's be civil, at least for once. At first I wasn't sure where to put it. Maybe on the side of the ventilation system, in front of the assembler. It wouldn't be the worst idea in fact, although it would be a bit inconvenient to get the pieces out of here later. But, meh, there are better places to put a bed. Here I would have to sleep directly under the lights and I don't like that very much. I have a better idea. One that I actually liked a lot more. The captain's bed, right in the cockpit. And by the way, this would give me a very quiet space with privacy, separated from the industrial compartment of the ship. Very comfortable. I'll just have to place a door and extend the ramp a little later to have the concept complete, since I don't have the materials with me right now. Well, and also put a support underneath. It feels strange sleeping in the air. This took me some time, so let's jump to the final result. Just look at this. Tell me it's not perfect. I mean, you lie in bed, and on one side you have a view of the main door of your ship and the entire machinery room, while on the other side, you have a beautiful view of the night sky. What more could ask? I'm moving here with Sarah Kerrigan and I have everything. Well, but enough dreaming. Even if that was a nice dream. Damn, too nice dream. Anyway, let's get back to work. It's time to attach the landing legs to the ship and check if this really works. It is certainly not my favorite part, since for this I will have to recycle a good amount of base components, since I don't have cobalt yet. But we must put armored blocks here or they will break constantly. And no, don't tell me to use landing gear. I'm not convinced by how they look on this ship. Also, the magnetic plates are too surreal. So for now we will use blocks and docking ports for resource supply. Good, and this is what the legs should be, at least in terms of functionality. There are only 3 more things to add to our ship. Which would be the drills, since as I mentioned, this ship will be multipurpose, basically a compact mobile base. Then the lights, and finally the weapons. So, we will start with the mining drills. These will go to the front, and there will be a total of 4. Together they should provide a decent amount of supplies to the ship when we are mining. It will also be necessary to reconfigure the front blocks and replace them with conveyors, but if I can connect them effectively with the refinery and assembler, we should have fully automated production, at least in terms of basic resources. So, let's get started at once. The construction of the drills and turrets was something. Honestly, very delayed, the drills due to the enormous amount of materials they required, and the turrets due to the complexity of their configuration. I know that for many this is simple, but I had to check a lot of tutorials to find out how to do it. Anyway, I'll explain that to you in a few minutes. First things first, the drills. I wasn't really sure what the best configuration would be. How to put them and how many. To be honest, I almost opted to put them on top of the cabin. Luckily I regretted that. So this would be the configuration. The 4 in front, who by the way, even look good. I know that in the sandstorm you can't see a damn thing, but I can tell you that it even gives the ship a more aerodynamic appearance. It's certainly curious, but cool. Well, this is going to take me a while, so let's skip to the end. It's almost there. Last lap. Hey, get out of here, you stupid spiders. Those bugs have been a pain in the ass since I came to this planet. Anyway, the last drill is ready. Now all that remains is to test them. It should be noted that they are not yet connected to the ship's conveyor pipe system, but at least they should be rotating now. Let's see. Perfect, they already work. Now all that remains is to configure them. This shouldn't be very difficult. However, we will do it later. First we'll take care of placing this, which will be a flight AI. Maybe we won't use it momentarily, but who knows, it could be useful to us later. And now comes the good part, the turrets. It was really important to me that these were not just any weapons, that is, we will only have 2 at the moment, and this ship is relatively fragile, so its main weapons should be precise and forceful. The hinge and rotor are in place, and the adapter is already installed, as it should be. I had to do the same process on the other side, and another mining trip, so let's summarize it. So after investigating several alternatives, I found that the weapons that offer the best performance, at least among those I can make, are the Gatlings. It took me a long time to decide how to place them, how to protect them, etc. Even, as you see here, I tried pointing in several directions to see which one offered better performance. Not that I intended to point them in 2 directions, of course, just that before removing one, I wanted to see the other. But the most tedious of all was to configure them. Finally, with the camera already in place and the transporters, this is what it looks like. Although I am still dealing with the problem that I have not been able to solve, nor do I know how to do it, if any of you leave it in the comments I will appreciate it. The Gatling turrets are connected by all means to the ship's system, however they do not recharge automatically. I don't know why it happens. Is it because high caliber ammunition does not pass through these transporters? I don't see the point because they use small connectors, but I still don't know what's going on. Anyway, these are just some reinforcements that I will place so that the transporters are not exposed to enemy fire if I go into combat. They are light blocks, since in any case they should not have to withstand too many impacts. Once the turrets are installed, we can say that the ship is ready for anything. So it's time to weigh anchor and start exploring. I know that for you it was only a few minutes, but for me it was 3 long days of work to finally get my first ship ready, and I'll be damned if I'm not excited about this. So let's get started. First leg released, 3 remaining. Second leg released, 2 remaining. Okay, just a second, I need to loosen up some pieces. Okay, ready, let's continue. Third leg released, only the last one remains. Almost there. Almost there. Damn, inventory full again. It seems that this block was armored. They have many metal grills that weigh a lot. Let me just blurt this out for a second. Please don't fall. Damn the fucking armored blocks. Slowly. Easy. Easy. Whoa. Simply great. The stabilization system activated the engines immediately, stopping the fall. The ship didn't even get a scratch. I love it. That means everything works perfectly. Let's test the control system for a moment. Everything seems to be perfect. Now let's move it forward to get it out of the holes and be able to turn off the engines. We still have little hydrogen and we don't know how long it will last. Everything seems to be in order. Please be patient with me. It's really my first time flying something I built myself here. I didn't think it would turn out so perfect. If you compare it with my first rocket in Kerbal Space Program, shit. It was too good to be true. I already broke something. I'll have to inspect what happened. Let's see. Everything seems in order down here. It's strange. Everything okay behind? Damn it. This is what happened. The turret fell on the engine when the ship was turned off. Then when it was turned on again it overheated and the cannon exploded. Note to self, do not shut down the ship without checking the position of the main turrets. Well, the problem now is that I can't start the engines or another cannon will surely explode, and I can't move the turret without starting the ship, so this will be complicated. See you in a few minutes when I've finally resolved this mess. Well, everything is done, and in addition I had to rebuild the complete left turret when I discovered that I had placed the hinge backwards. It was tedious and frustrating, so I never want to talk about it. And since someone told me in the comments that there was an easier and faster solution than rebuilding the entire turret, I informed him in advance that he will be banned from the channel. XD, nah, just kidding. Anyway, getting back to the matter, we already have a door in the cockpit, and the defenses of our ship are already operational. Although the ammunition is precarious, I had to remove all the boxes of bullets from the base and we didn't even have enough to load all Gatling. That's why we must be extremely careful with ammo expenditure. And yes, I just shot a spider by accident, so make fun of it if you want. So, the last thing we are going to do in this video is to place the front lights of the ship. With this we will have some visibility in the distance when there is fog or we are in a mining cave. This would be the last step for our ship to be, at least relatively, ready to go exploring. The lights are placed and connected. Industrial production system operational. Engines operational. Weapons loaded and ready. All systems nominal. The ship is ready.